And here we have a Conservative Party donor, admittedly okay in private, whatever, but saying that it made him feel that Diane Abbott should be shot. And there have been people today who have accused the Tory donor, Mr. Hester, of putting a target on her back. This is serious, serious stuff. Now, of course, this has, as I say, been dominating the news agenda all day. Earlier on today, the Work and Pensions Secretary, Mel Stride, echoed the position that the Prime Minister's spokesperson has said, and this is the really weird thing, in refusing to say whether these comments were racist.
Well, it's clear that what he said was inappropriate. He has, as I understand it, apologised for those remarks. I think the critical point here is I don't think what he was saying was a gender-based or a race-based comment, but it was clearly inappropriate. He has apologised, and I think we need to move on from that.
Not racist. He's talking about the idea that Diane Abbott should be shot. It made him want to hate all black women. And we've got to a position in 2024 in British politics where a sitting cabinet minister, and indeed the Prime Minister's own spokesperson, won't say that those comments were racist. Now, of course, Mr. Hester has apologised for them, and actually I would be the first person to say that in a democracy we should give credit to someone for apologising and admitting when they've got it wrong. And that is an important part of the idea of forgiveness. It's something that's lost too often in the censorious nature of our politics, which is just so quick to condemn. But the point is, that's fine. And William Hague has said we should give him some credit for apologising. That's fine. As long as you recognise how you were wrong in the first place and say that what you said, maybe you didn't mean it that way, whatever it happens to be, but you can understand that many people will consider it to be racist and it would upset and offend a lot of people. Now, Mr. Hester has not done that. He's not accepted that it has been racist. And indeed, he has been confirmed in that by everything that the Prime Minister and cabinet ministers have said. I do wonder if a Labour donor had said something equivalent about anti-Semitism and someone of the Jewish faith and ethnicity. Don't we think that the very first people rushing to condemn it would be the Prime Minister and senior cabinet ministers? Rightly so. But it makes their own commitment to anti-racism hollow and vacuous and empty if, when confronted with something which is self-evidently racist and at the very, very least has the potential to upset and anger so many people. I wonder if I were a young black man or woman sat in Britain tonight and I was sat there thinking to myself and seeing what Mr. Hester said and then seeing in the next breath or in the next paragraph of the newspaper that the Prime Minister, my Prime Minister, is refusing to condemn it as racist. I wonder how I would feel about my own country. And I fear that there were maybe many people out there listening to this and many people who will have precisely that experience over the next 24 hours. And I'm afraid it speaks to a normalization of this sort of rhetoric that we've seen in British politics in recent years. I mean, and particularly, I have to say, within the Conservative Party to a greater or lesser extent. Remember, lots of things forgotten. Nusrat Ghani, currently a minister, but she had said that she felt that one of the reasons she lost her ministerial post in Boris Johnson's day was because of her Muslim faith. Paul Marshall revealed on the Newsagents podcast just a couple of weeks ago, senior person in GB News, investor of GB News, or himself a Conservative Party donor, found to have been liking and retweeting extremist material. Remember, it's supposed to be Extremist Week this week, but that material was, by anyone's money, Islamophobic, racist, indeed homophobic as well. No word from Downing Street, no word really from senior Conservative figures about it, and any suggestion they wouldn't take his money again. We saw what happened with Lee Anderson and his comments about Islamism and Sadiq Khan. We saw what he said yesterday about the idea of wanting his country back from whom. We are the frogs in the jar on this in British politics. And while I think that you could make an argument, maybe 20 years ago, who knows, that some people felt that debate around race and around immigration and whatever had become too constrained and there had been too much of a fusion between immigration and matters of race. Maybe you could have made that argument. There has been an overcorrection and then some, and we have got to a situation now where it is completely almost normal or normalised to have this sort of rhetoric emerge and then for people to say, oh no, that's not racist. Well, if this isn't racist, what is? That's not to say that Mr. Hester is a racist. That isn't what's up for debate here in a sense. We can't know what's going on in his mind or his head. But what he could have said is that those comments were clearly inappropriate and racist and I'm sorry and I'd like to atone for them. Instead, we've basically got half of the basically the senior bits of the Conservative Party confirming what he's saying, which is that his comments weren't racist. This seems to me extraordinary. And again, we find ourselves as the frog in the jar on this one. Lord Marland a former party treasurer, Conservative Party treasurer, has echoed again what Mal Stride was saying and has told LBC that Frank Hester is not a racist.
He's an international businessman. He travels widely overseas. He does a lot of business in Jamaica. He does business in Malaysia, in Bangladesh and places like that. So he's not a racist. He made some unfortunate remarks which do sound racist, and quite rightly he's apologised for them.
Some of my best employees are black. That's basically the logical corollary of what we heard there. And again, there's no question. It's absolutely fine. We all make mistakes, and maybe this was a mistake, but there is not a recognition. And that is the problem here, and what I cannot understand sat here this afternoon. Now, of course, on the opposition benches, there is far greater condemnation, as you would expect. Both the Lib Dems and Labour have said the Conservatives should give back the money from Mr Hester. Annalise Dodds is Labour's Shadow Women and Equalities Minister.
Ultimately, Rishi Sunak does need to hand back those funds that he received from Frank Hester, and he needs to ensure that his party hands back those funds as well. Rishi Sunak himself has said that words matter. If he believes that, then he actually needs to put his money where his mouth is and hand this money back.